Hey, everybody. Been a while since I've done a live, and I've had a lot of people talk to me about why I'm using bank money to trade. Why on earth would I do something so dangerous? Why would I, what if you lose it? Do you have to pay it back? Well, theoretically, you got to pay yourself back if you've lost money from your own capital anyway. I mean, I hope that you're not just, saying, oh, well, I lost the money. I'm not going to pay myself back, because you're really just borrowing from you. But the most important thing to consider is not the interest on the money that you're paying for, whether you're investing in real estate or crypto or whatever. Because on this planet, the only non-renewable resource, you can renew trees and dirt and atoms and ocean. You can renew cells. You can do all kinds of renewal of fuels and all this stuff. Everything on this planet is renewable, contrary to popular political belief, except for one thing: time. There's no way to renew your time. And somebody on a call last week said, well, my life is unrenewable. Yeah, same thing. Your time here with us is unrenewable. And yes, we say we don't know how much that is, but if we're burning that time unnecessarily, the cost of time is crazy. And so if time is the only unrenewable resource, how much of it are you burning, this incredibly precious resource, at your 9-to-5 job? How much of it are you burning sitting on the road, going to that 9-to-5 job, getting no value, in fact, losing money to do it? We're going to talk about that in a second. That the value of time makes the cost of money incredibly high. And if we don't have to pay this time quotient for the cost of getting money and deploying it in the marketplace or anywhere else, we're getting a major benefit in value, even if it costs us interest. And some of you are like, I don't know, man. Interest, I was told that interest is bad. And while it's true, facts, nobody went broke who didn't borrow money. Okay, it's impossible to go broke if you never borrow money. You get to the end of your money and you could borrow, and then you go low. If you can't pay that back, then that's that. And nobody got rich who didn't borrow money. You think Richard Branson used his own capital to make Virgin Atlantic? You think? You guys know what the first trades of some of your greatest traders, where they got the money from? Warren Buffett. Where'd they get that? They use their own money? Nope. Colonel Sanders, right? 7 Herbs and Spices. Think he used his own money? No. Why do you think he was going door to door? He didn't have it, and he knew better. So borrowing money changes the scope of time, because we don't have to work and borrow and transduce our time into the money that we would then use and take our chances with. And on top of all the taxation that's happening and everything else, it becomes silly, ludicrous to use your own money to trade. Ludicrous. Check it out. So let's just say, for example, you wanted to buy a $250,000 house. That's fine. No big deal. Or $250,000 anything. We're talking about the cost of money, which may sound bizarre to you. You're like, cost of money? Money, a dollar's a dollar. No. That's why most of us don't understand why borrowing money is the most important thing we could do to trade. Not only does it give us the ability to borrow someone else's money, but it also gives us a built-in tax write-off if you've incorporated correctly. So the cost of money is way more than its intrinsic value, and I'll show you why. So if we wanted $250,000, we're going to get $250,000. And if you're making $50 an hour, which some of you are nowhere near that, but let's say you were, which would be very nice, that $250,000 is going to cost you 5,000 hours of this, which is unrenewable, unrecyclable, gone. That's why we say we spend our time. I'm spending my time, hopefully, to help you understanding. Hopefully, you're spending your time and getting some value. 5,000 hours is 6 months, y'all, out of a 40-hour week. Now, this isn't, oh, I worked for 6 months and I got $250,000. No, this is 6 months above and beyond the 6 months that you also had to work 40 hours. This means you're working an 80-hour week, killing yourself to get this. If you could at 50, if it was $25, that's a year on top of the 40 hours that you're working. If you're making $12, it's 4 years, or sorry, 2 years. And you can see why this becomes incredibly expensive. This is you working, not spending time with your family, not in the house of worship, not working out, not eating right, not sleeping. This is you working for this. What is that cost? You're starting to see the true cost of $250,000 if you're using your own money. Now, some of you are like, yeah, but debt's bad. Yeah, it could be, unless you know what you're doing and you know how to use it, because that same $250,000, it's the same $250,000. If we got a commercial loan at 6% a year at $15,000, right? That means that you're paying $15,000 per year to carry that $250,000. At $50 an hour means that's $300. That's 1.3 weeks per year. Way better than 6 months. Same $250,000. 1.3 weeks a year. You see the difference? This is now, you've just gained 5.89 weeks, months of your life back for the same investment power. We call it leverage, but I want you to understand it as the cost, the true cost of money in time. You cannot get this back. That's why borrowing money is so important if you can. Why having a good credit score is so very important. Why I don't have a dime of my own money in any market. Not a dime. Not that I'm the greatest, not even close. And when I lose money, believe me, I get nervous. But at the very least, I'm only paying this to pay it back on interest. You guys see it? You see it? Now, some of you have 9-to-5 jobs, and I just want to give you some hard lessons that I have had to win. You aren't getting paid for your drive home. You're not getting paid for your drive to work. Yeah. And if you're working 50 hours, if you consider insurance, gas, repair, loan on interest on your car, whatever that is, on a reasonable, urban area, you're talking about $443 a month to get there, $443 to get back. Some of you are like, I make $72,000 a year. No, you don't. I make $6,000 a month. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're burning 40 hours. No, if it's a half hour there and a half hour back, that's 50 hours, or an hour there, an hour back. It's 50 hours a week. You're doing a 50-hour work week, but only getting paid for 40. I'm making $6,000 a month. No, you're not. Now you're getting benefits, probably. I hope so, from your 9-to-5 social slave job. Yeah, it's your medical, maybe some discounts and things as you drive home. Now you're going to get taxed. You already know this. You're going to pump out a third of that to the powers that be. And let's say you've got a nice medical situation, but you are going to have to go do medical because you're stressing yourself out going to driving to work and back and all that other stuff. This is just you. I'm not talking about your family. I'm talking about you. $125 a month. You're left with $36.39 out of your $6,000 amazing. That's what you're making. I don't care how much you think you're making. If you're doing 50 hours at $36.39, you're making $18.20. That's the cost of money to you. So 37, we'll call it $3,600, costs you 50 hours a week, 200 hours a month of your life gone to make this. You might as well work at Walmart and walk. Some of you aren't going to like this next one. What about trading? I know you're like, oh boy, here we go. Well, I'm going to be a millionaire trading. No, you're not. No, you're not. Unless you are doing some pretty high leverage things and are buying and holding on something that's going to go exponential. If you're doing 40 hours a month, 40 hours a week, and something like, I don't have to do 40 hours a week. I wake up with the market and I trade for 2 hours. Really? You don't take any classes. You don't do any research. You're not looking at the charts all day. You're not swing trading in the middle of the night. You're not taking sessions. You're not doing lives. You're not watching them. Let's say you were doing 40 hours a week. For those of you who don't have a job, I promise you, if you calculate the amount of time and effort you're spending to trade full time, you're doing 40 hours a week. If you had $100,000, now how many of you have $100,000 in your bank account? But let's say you did. The average account's 10,000. Let's say you had $100,000. That's 2,000 hours at $50 an hour, or 2.5 months of your life, above and beyond the work that you paid to get there, that you used. You're using your own capital, $100,000, 2.5 months of your life. You don't get paid to do the work. You get nothing. You only get paid if you make the money and sell. You get no benefits, right? Now, let's say you did 10% a month, which is pretty good, which, you know, if you're in DCG, you can do that. That's 10,000 a month, nice work, but your taxes are going to get hammered, especially if you are day trading. This could go up as high as 80%. But let's say it isn't. If you're in a state like California, your taxes are going to be for 40, 50%. You're going to lose half of this. Then you got medical fees and memberships, $850. You're like, I don't pay $850 a month. Oh, yes, you do. If you're in any trading group, your medical insurance is on you. It's on you. You're paying that. That ain't much better than your job, y'all. And you crank 2,000 hours of your life that you can't get back to get there, to do another job. But only trade in the morning. Well, really consider how many hours you're working. And by the way, if this is 20 hours, you only work 20 hours a week, that number is only $41 an hour. That's still not 50. And that's on $100,000, y'all. Most of you have nowhere near that. You're making $10,000 in an account, $2 an hour. $2. I want you to take that on. But if you were to borrow, yes, the number isn't that much higher. I mean, it's higher. But you put in a heck of a lot less work, because now you're taking bank money to do it. Yes, you're paying 1.3 weeks of your life to pay off that 10% at $10,000 a year. You still don't get the same income, same benefits. Your profits are less because you're having to pay that the interest every month. Instead of 10,000, you're making 8,800. Your taxes are less because you're obviously making less, because you can deduct the interest if you've incorporated correctly. But now you've got a free 100,000 because it's sitting in the bank. You don't have to use it. If you dumped it at 10% into Aave, making 10% a year, you're making an extra $833 a month. Tack that on. Now you're doing 5,000 a month with all your time left from having to make the original 100,000, which you don't have to make it to trade. If you did, you could, but you don't have to deploy it. You just get it from a bank. And that's the beauty of using other institutions' money, not other people's money, right? Other people, we want to help other people make money, but other institutions' money, that's what we want to be doing. And that's why deploying bank money saves you this by long shot. And the cost of money is much, much less. Even though you have to pay interest, there's another indicator in there other than just how much the interest is costing you. It's costing you this. And we can't afford to give this up anymore. That's why doing your borrowing and working on your credit to use that using that to deploy. And some of you are like, well, I use leverage. Even better, right? Leverage is everything. Trading options, leverage, doing leverage in KuCoin or any of those. Leverage, better. Aave, leverage, better. You can leverage on the leverage. Even better. Even better. Futures, leverage, big leverage. Forex, big leverage. That's what we want. But don't put your own capital in and think that it's the same leverage, because you're still having to come up with this, your own capital. Get some bank capital in there. Now, listen, I'm just the bald white guy. I ain't your financial advisor. Go check it out for yourself. Do the numbers for yourself. I'm just telling you what I do, what I'm doing. And hopefully that makes sense. And if you're mad, put an 8 in the chat box and go, doggone that bald white guy. And if it makes sense to you, put some exclamation points in the chat box so you go, oh, I get this. And if you're like, I don't know where I would borrow the money, well, reach out. In DCG, there's a lot of people that can offer you those kinds of opportunities at very, very low, in fact, 0% sometimes interest rates. So you're getting money for free. And that's dope. All right, y'all. I love you madly. We'll talk soon.